preterism thing, man. Preterism. It's an absolute doctrine of Satan to get people to do nothing. Because if everything already happened, and it's Satan's little season, there's nothing for you to do except sit and wait. Right? At this point, the gospel's given to the four corners of the world. Yeshua came. Right? The city's been filled with blood up to the horse's bridle. Yeshua came. The first resurrection happened. He reigned for 1,000 years, where Satan was locked in the pit, in the abyss, couldn't deceive anybody. Well, and just even that far into it, you see how ridiculous it is. Because there's been no point in time that you can pinpoint where there's been no deception. The moment Yeshua died, we read in the scriptures that the 2 guys or 3 guys, whoever it was, that were watching the tomb were spoken to by the Pharisees, and we're told to say that the men came at night and stole them and they got paid off. And it says in the scriptures that they stick to that story even until this day. Well, that's deception. And it was happening even until that day. I mean, people just need to read Matthew 24. And as you're reading it and you're going, man, this really sounds like he's talking about something that's going to happen soon. Use your brain all the way through it. And realize that, yeah, he's talking about 70 AD. And some of this other stuff he's talking about in there, ain't no freaking way he's talking to one localized group of people. The biggest thing that should stand out to you is the stuff that he's talking about, the thing that he's saying is going to happen is going to be worse than anything that's ever happened before or ever will happen again. Nope. Worse stuff has continued to happen over and over. 70 AD doesn't even make it to the list of worst things that ever happened. Even to those people. Well, I meant for the Jewish people. Are you freaking kidding me? Are you freaking kidding me? Pretty sure we can go through the Old Testament and find a lot of things worse that happened to them than 70 AD. A lot worse. Frick. And now, you know, you tell these people, you try to reason with them, right? Because you care. You don't want them to be deceived. And you tell them, hey, you got to look into this stuff, guy. Like, it doesn't say it's going to be a secret. Nowhere in Matthew 24 does it say no one's going to know these things and it'll be hidden and you'll all be guessing and everyone will have their own frickin' ideas. It says no one's going to have to tell each other nothing. That's what it says. It ain't no secret. And you read the book of Revelation, which they say already happened. No secrets in there either. Everyone's freaking out, knowing what's going on. Everybody. No one freaked out with what, you know, most say 70 AD. But there's partial, there's all this other stuff. And none of that even makes sense. And then you ask these people, here's a new one that I heard today, which prompted me to make this. What about the 2 witnesses? What happened to them? When did they show up? Well, the 2 witnesses were most likely Peter and John. No, Peter and James, maybe, they said. Peter and somebody. And it's like, you gotta be kidding me. The stuff these people come up with. Well, because, you know, it said when I asked, when were their bodies, when were they killing people and their bodies laying in the street for 3 days and then told to come up? More. And, you know, they says, well, you know, I can't prove it, but they were both killed in Rome. I don't know. Pretty sure the 2 Witnesses chapter in Revelation isn't mentioned in there in Rome. It talks about the temple. So we'd be in Jerusalem, right? Where the Gentiles are allowed to trample the outer court for the same amount of time the 2 witnesses are preaching. Go read it. And no, this wasn't John. This wasn't Peter and another apostle doing this. They're dead. They're like the dead. I think the Catholic Church has parts of their freaking bodies. They got parts of every other body. I wouldn't be surprised. I should have looked that up first. They got tongues of this guy, feet of this person. It's ridiculous. They're called relics. Yet, John lived until way after 70 AD. Never mentioned it. You got Clement, who actually was with Peter for a long time. Never mentioned Peter being one of the two witnesses. Not even close. Not even close. So that's the thing, people. You can take all the stuff in Revelation and say, well, it's not something anyone's going to see, and completely discredit Revelation, the book of Revelation, where people are freaking out about the stuff they see, which also goes with Matthew 24. You can make up a bunch of stuff on how things are supposed to go, or you just read the Bible and listen to it, and you understand. I believe it's Daniel 9, that the Messiah is going to be cut off in the midst of the week. He's going to come back 2,000 years later. How do we know that? We get Hosea, date of the Lord is 1,000 years. On the third day he will raise us up. Something like that. I don't know verbatim right now. Peter quotes it again in his book. And it's like, these guys were given powers, but they're not the two witnesses. There was 12 disciples, not 2. They were killed. Their bodies didn't lay in the streets for 3 days, and God said, come up here in front of everyone, freaking them out. We have these things. We know these things. You're just sitting there, and when you believe these things about preterism, what are you actually doing? Right? It says that now, if that's the case, it's the time where Satan's recruiting his army to fight against God. Well, it ain't happening right now. That sure as crap ain't happening right now. But what you've done is you've turned yourself into the evil servant. You're going back to eat and drink with the drunkards of Ephraim, doing nothing, not warning anyone, not telling anyone to repent. Why? Because it's too freaking late. According to you, all that has to happen now is Satan builds up his whole army. Yeshua comes, God comes. Yeshua comes, blows on them all, and they're gone. End of story. And you're judged. But then, you can spiritualize all the stuff in Revelation you want and ignore the fact that people are freaking out when they see it. Proving it's not a secret. Or you can actually listen to the book, not spiritualize it, and say, frick, we're right exactly where we're supposed to be. The Revelation 12 sign just happened in 2017. So there we are in the timeline. No Antichrist has been exposed. Oh, that was Nero. No, it don't work that way. The Bible doesn't mention anything about the Antichrist being exposed in thousands of years of this nonsense going on. Well, it said soon. Yeah, and Moses in Deuteronomy 18 prophesied of the Messiah coming to the people that were standing there. And guess how many hundreds of years went by before the Messiah actually came? A lot. Don't fall into that trap. You have nothing to back it up. It makes no sense. It literally makes no sense. The worst thing that's ever happened. Not to know people, that's the worst thing that's ever happened. It's not even close. Don't let these people fool you. They suck you into a trap. Why? To be idle. Don't be idle. It's funny, that word idle sounds like idol. I-D-O-L. Because you're deaf, dumb, and blind like your idols if you do that. You're stagnant. Don't become that. There's a mission to do. Matthew 28. Go do it. Warn all nations. Repent, believe, obey, and teach others to do so.